Investigators are testing the DNA of a boy who says he survived a kidnapping from Wisconsin Dells 8 years ago.
And a new report out this morning shows the crew involved in the deadly Ethiopian Airlines crash did everything they could to save the plane.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 Now this morning on this Thursday, April 4th. Danica's back with us this morning, and we have to take a second to congratulate you.
Oh,
she was off for an award for her mental health reporting, a really big deal.
It's just an honor to be able to cover those kind of stories. So it was great to be in a room with a lot of those people and just appreciating them at the same time. So thank you guys.
Really important coverage.
Thanks,
yeah,
thanks.
We're so proud.
Congratulations to you, Hattie, because you get to report a really nice weekend ahead.
That's true.
We have to get through today
Great
first,
segue.
though.
I know.
Oh my goodness, today's not the best day weather-wise, especially when we had such a nice day yesterday. Now, on the radar map this morning, we've had some light rain trying to work its way into southern Wisconsin. A lot of it not actually hitting the ground right now, but scattered showers or even a few snowflakes this morning will be possible. Even as we head into the afternoon, the chance for rain continues. It's a little bit milder, though, early today. 41 here in Madison, 44 in Boscobel and Prairie du Chien, 43 in Janesville. To the north, though, it does drop below freezing. It's only 30 in Camp Douglas this morning. Our temperatures are not going to move too far today. We'll top in the mid-40s. Easterly winds will be increasing to 15 to 25 miles an hour. So on top of the raindrops, it is going to be quite windy later today. Here's a look at your traffic maps this morning. Haven't seen any major issues just yet, but it looks like it is getting a little busier on Stoughton Road right now. Also some slowdowns on that westbound belt line right around Park Street. No accidents, though, around the area. So on those major routes into the city, you're still traveling at posted speeds.
We are skipping ahead from today, looking ahead to this weekend, though. It's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, we do have 60s in the forecast still.
All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
We want to start this hour as we continue to follow a developing story. A boy who went missing from Wisconsin Dells nearly 8 years ago may have escaped his captors. We expect to learn later today whether a DNA test proves that Timothy Pitson is alive. Pitson was last seen on video at the Kalahari Resort in the Dells when he was just 6 years old. His father reported him and his mom missing, and then 2 days later, Pitson's mother was found dead in a Rockford hotel. Authorities believe she took her own life. Now police say a 14-year-old wandering around south of Cincinnati, just across the Kentucky state line, claims to be that missing boy. The teen says he escaped his two kidnappers in Ohio. And as law enforcement work to confirm that he is, in fact, the boy who went missing in 2011, his family is still waiting for him to come home.
We've always felt strongly that this day would come when it's hard to realize it's happening when it does come. And we're still waiting to see that if it is actually Timothy.
The boy is being checked out at the hospital while authorities process the DNA test. We will have the very latest on those results as soon as we know on Channel3000.com.
New this morning, police in Las Vegas are investigating how a Wisconsin man died while in their custody. It happened Sunday night when police responded to a report of a disturbance at a hotel there. Officers say 36-year-old Nicholas Farah was combative as they arrested him on charges of trespassing and resisting arrest. Police put Farah in a restraint chair at the jail, but he went unconscious when officers moved his head forward to replace his handcuffs. He died shortly later at the hospital. The Clark County coroner is working to determine the cause of Farah's death. 4 officers are on routine administrative leave right now as that investigation continues.
Into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this morning, a preliminary report finds an Ethiopian Airlines crew followed all procedures but still was not able to gain control of a plane that crashed last month. All 157 people on board died in that crash. Investigators also found the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jet had a valid certificate of airworthiness and that the flight's takeoff appeared normal. The Ethiopian Minister of Transport recommends Boeing review the flight control system that forced the plane's nose to dive down. He also says aviation authorities should verify the review of that system before the plane can take off.
Your Facebook account name and any information about your comments on posts could be out in the open after a major data breach. A cybersecurity research firm says more than 540 million records on Facebook users were publicly exposed on Amazon's cloud computing service. That company told Amazon about the breach back in January, but it took until yesterday, after a Bloomberg reporter asked about it, for Amazon to secure that information.
Madison alders could start looking for new proposals for a vacant lot on South Park Street after the city says the developer that wanted to build a new grocery store there is taking too long to finalize its plans. Welton Enterprises' proposal includes a 30,000 square foot grocery store with parking spaces and a 4-story building with more than 50 mixed income housing units. But those plans have been in the works for a year now. The State Journal reports a new request for proposals would give developers 90 days to submit ideas for the site. Another proposal the city is expected to consider includes demolishing the Pick and Save grocery store next to that lot and replacing it with a medical clinic. That has caused some concerns about food access along South Park Street. Tonight, SSM Health will present those plans at a public meeting that'll take place over at the Labor Temple at 5:30.
Voters across Wisconsin are still waiting to hear what the next move is, as the race for a seat on the state Supreme Court hasn't been called yet. Judge Brian Hagedorn declared victory overnight Tuesday, but 24 hours later, Judge Lisa Neubauer has not conceded or indicated if she will. Hagedorn calls his 6,000 vote lead insurmountable, but says he is prepared for the possibility of a recount. In a Facebook post posted yesterday, Neubauer called for more volunteers and donations to help make sure the election results are accurate. County clerks will be starting the official canvass to confirm the results over the next few days. If the current margin of 6,000 votes in Hagedorn's favor stays the same, Neubauer's campaign could call for a recount, but they would have to pay for it.
Madison's new mayor-elect is already working on getting a team in place after winning Tuesday's election by a considerable margin. Satya Rhodes-Conway will officially take over that position in 2 weeks. She told reporters yesterday that she's working on getting her deputy mayor and city committee members in order. She also spoke to outgoing Mayor Paul Soglin. She says he has been very gracious in helping to facilitate a smooth transition. 6:07 right now, and it's that time of year where a lot of us are clearing out the clutter and probably donating a few things we don't need anymore.
If you want to make sure your stuff is going to a worthy cause, Christina Laurie is joining us this morning with more on that. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning. So I don't know if you ladies are like me, but you have plenty of stuff you don't really need anymore, but you're hesitant to give it away because you want it to go to good use. So the Better Business Bureau of Wisconsin is sharing some advice to avoid disappointment in how your donations are used. First, they say you shouldn't assume that charities will accept everything you have to donate. That well-worn sweater or ripped pair of jeans that you love will likely be rejected by them. Now, most charities look for items in good condition. If you're unsure about your donation, it's best to contact them ahead of time. The BBB also warns you not to assume everything you donate will be distributed to people in need. Sometimes donations end up in a charity thrift store to make money for the organization, or some might sell them to a third party or turn them into rag bond, which is a type of heavyweight paper.
Check out the charities. You can go to bbb.org and check out some charities. There's also give.org. That's a really good website to go to as well to check out everything before you donate.
Now, once you donate, be sure to pick up a receipt. Some donors believe the charity will assign values to what you donate, which you can use when filing your taxes, but that's actually your responsibility. If what you donate adds up to more than $500 in a calendar year, be sure to file that with your taxes, which, by the way, reminder, due in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, that is an important reminder, too, and a lot of people cleaning everything out. I know I should be.
And with all the tax changes this year, the charitable donations is the one thing that's stayed the same. So obviously, if you donate now, you have to write that off on next year. But plenty of people have stuff that they've been working on for the past year.
Absolutely. Thanks, Christina.
You're welcome.
6:09 your time now. The star of the hit HBO show Game of Thrones is sparking a pretty serious medical conversation after opening up about suffering 2 brain aneurysms that almost killed her.
Dr. Mindy Ramirez here to talk about the symptoms we should all be watching out for. That's after your forecast on News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. The birds are chirping this morning, maybe because we have rain moving into the area a little bit later on today. Let's take a look, though, at high temperatures yesterday. I hope you had a chance to enjoy the weather yesterday. Even though the clouds moved into the afternoon, temperatures climbed well into the 50s, even hitting 61 in Janesville. Now, it is going to be quite a bit cooler today and windy as well. A live look from the WISC-TV Skycam shows you that we have clouds in the area, just a sliver of light on the eastern horizon this morning. Have been watching some light rain showers diminish over the last couple of hours as they spread into southern Wisconsin. A few flurries showing up on the radar map in between Madison and the Dells. Some of this precipitation is probably not hitting the ground. I haven't been able to find any real ground reports of rain this morning, but there is the potential for on and off showers through the day today. The risk for flurries, though, confined just to the morning hours. Here's a look at what's happening with those satellite pictures and the clouds on top of the radar. You'll see that most of the state is covered in cloud cover already this morning, so our chances for sunshine are pretty minimal today. Here's a look at temperatures. There is quite a difference in temperatures from north to south across the state. 28 in Superior, 23 in Rhinelander this morning. Contrast that with 40s from La Crosse and Milwaukee and points south. Here's a closer look at southern Wisconsin temperatures, and you'll see that most spots are above the freezing point this morning. Still 38 in the Dells, 41 here in Madison, 43 in Janesville, but it is down to 30 in Camp Douglas. Winds are pretty light from the east this morning, but they will be increasing through the day. That easterly wind will be anywhere from 15 to 25 miles an hour this afternoon. And being from the east, that's going to be kind of a cool wind for us, so kind of a raw day today. Our future track forecast model shows you that the rain diminishes this morning, but then redevelops as we head towards the afternoon. So even through the afternoon and evening hours, we may still see some raindrops here across southern Wisconsin. Temperatures will stay in the mid-40s this afternoon. The rain will come to an end then tonight. Our total precipitation potential, though, is very light, less than 1/4 of an inch in all locations. Here's a look at your extended forecast. We are back into the 60s tomorrow, so a nice rebound temperature-wise. Clouds will clear late in the day on Friday with some sunshine for the late afternoon hours. We're into the upper 60s on Saturday, but some rain returns Saturday night into Sunday. At least we stay in the 60s, though, on Sunday. Let's get a check on your traffic maps this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, it's a quiet start on the Beltline this morning. No major delays showing up yet heading east or westbound. Other roads here in Dane County are looking pretty good right now. Give yourself an extra minute on Stoughton Road and Verona Road approaching the Beltline ramps. No delays showing up down on campus. Things will start to pick up over the next hour or so. And other main routes coming into the city, they're moving at the usual speeds with no major issues. Your First Alert Traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh. And of course, thank you, Hattie. So British actress Emilia Clarke stars as a very strong female character in the HBO series Game of Thrones, but she recently opened up about one of her most vulnerable moments.
In the New Yorker magazine, she wrote about her experience suffering 2 brain aneurysms and the difficult recovery process. Dr. Mandira Mehra from SSM Health is joining us this morning to talk about the warning signs. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Emilia Clarke is doing a great job highlighting an issue that's not really talked about very often. She even called it sort of an invisible illness.
It's true, and we often think of brain illnesses, neurodegenerative issues, strokes, hemorrhages in the brain as really something that maybe affects somebody else or definitely an older population.
Right.
This is a great example. It's wonderful that she's really raising awareness to the condition itself of having a brain aneurysm or hemorrhage in the brain, subarachnoid hemorrhage. And she describes it really as being extremely scary, of course, very painful, and then she feels, of course, very lucky to have survived something like this. There are definitely signs, symptoms, things that we can look out for if you have, unfortunately, a brain aneurysm or symptoms of a brain hemorrhage. Very scary thing. So, for example, if you have a sudden severe headache, I don't mean just a run-of-the-mill, okay, I have a slight headache. I mean, drops you to your knees, hard to function, hard to speak through. Other symptoms like all of a sudden nausea, vomiting, vision changes, loss of consciousness, drooping eyelids. If you have any of these alarming symptoms, you could be having something like a brain aneurysm, like she did in her case twice, or a brain hemorrhage. An aneurysm, just to review, is actually the vessels in your brain having that out-pocketing, pouching and weakening, and then ultimately resulting in brain in the blood. This can be life-threatening. So other than the symptoms we just talked about, the really scary thing here is it can be life-threatening. So you definitely want to seek emergent care like she did, 911. You'll need neurosurgery on board, neurology on board, definitely management emergently. Things that you can look out for if you have any family history of this, especially first-degree relatives, if you are a cigarette smoker, if you have high blood pressure, if you have other drug abuse problems, and then just other congenital issues from birth, definitely look out for this. Getting a brain scan prophylactically is even a great idea. There, of course, are wonderful treatments available, life-saving treatments. Some are surgical, some are medication, some are just watching to see how bad an aneurysm or how large it really is. But really, her awareness is amazing because we know her as this warrior princess. She's such a strong character, but to really show us this time that was scary for her and what she survived, amazing.
Yeah, most definitely. We want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about CBD. It's a topic that we talk about a lot on the program. You know, hemp was just legalized here, farming it in Wisconsin recently. And now the FDA is wondering how they should be looking at this substance. Can you kind of give your take on that in that conversation?
I would say, first of all, it's probably the most confusing time possible because we have some laws that are saying, well, now this is legal. And then we have other laws saying not so legal. And then, of course, by state, it's variable. And so the fact that we don't have one kind of across-the-board law makes it very confusing for not only a consumer, but also as a physician and what's legal, what can you prescribe. I think the takeaway message here is that there are many products now that are trending. Okay, we talked about jelly beans and beer and teas and topical agents and pills you can take. Unfortunately, until the FDA really cracks down and regulates things across the board, there will continue to be this confusion. Recent studies have also shown, unfortunately, products that claim that they have a certain amount of, let's say, CBD in them, which is the non-psychoactive component, but potentially the component that has some of these therapeutic values, they will always have this variable amount. So even if they claim to have a certain milligram amount, because it's not regulated, they may have it, they may not have it, they may be overdosed, underdosed, or may even have some of that THC active component. So the FDA getting involved would actually be a wonderful thing because it would help regulate it, would also help us say, what are the benefits? I think the FDA cracking down on the fact that they can't make unfair health claims is important. So we have to keep in mind here, just as a physician or even as a consumer, anytime a medication or therapy claims to fix everything, if it claims to fix neurodegenerative diseases, cure cancer, but as well as help migraines, pain, stop opiate addiction, obviously it can't do all of that. It's not a miracle drug. They did approve the first CBD medication recently, but it's specifically for seizures.
Super interesting conversation. Thank you, Dr. Mara.
We need more study.
I appreciate it. So Packers fans are pretty pumped about the idea of one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets making a return to Lambeau. We'll share more about his pre-retirement plans next on News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. We are talking cooler temperatures today, as well as a chance for some rain. We're already seeing some of that moisture start to move into southern Wisconsin. You may see some sprinkles south and west of Madison this morning. A few flurries are not out of the question as well, north and west, especially from the Dells points northward. Our forecast is starting out warmer, though, with clouds in place this morning. Temperatures are running about 10 degrees warmer than they were this time yesterday. Take a look at the numbers. 41 in Madison, 37 in the Dells, 43 in Mineral Point and Janesville, and even 44 in Boscobel, as well as Prairie du Chien. Your bus stop weather forecast does call for a chance for on and off showers, so grab the rain gear today. It is going to be much cooler than it was yesterday as well, with highs staying in the mid-40s. Have a wonderful Thursday.
All right, thank you so much, Hattie. Movie buffs rejoice. Today is the start of the week-long Wisconsin Film Festival. You can catch 150 different films that you normally wouldn't see in mainstream theaters. This is the first year you can catch a 3D film at the festival. There are also new documentaries and features that just premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, plus 100-year-old silent films with live piano accompaniment. That is so cool. The opening night reception at Shannon Hall is sold out, but you can still go online to read about all the films and buy tickets. That's at 1029.wifilmfest.org.
All right, this story is getting a lot of attention over on Channel 3000. Former Packers receiver Jordy Nelson says he might be pulling a coon and signing with Green Bay for a very short-term contract. On the Dan Patrick Show yesterday, Nelson confirmed that the team president, Mark Murphy, extended a one-day offer to him, but there was no talk about a full-time return. Nelson was released from the Oakland Raiders last year and has decided to retire. He says that decision is not related to injury, but he doesn't want to play long enough to be forced out because his body took quite the beating. Jordy caught 63 passes for the Raiders last season. His 65 touchdown receptions from Aaron Rodgers are the most of any quarterback-receiver combo in team history.
Lots of Packer fans will be happy about that. All right, before Mayor Soglin leaves office and helps Mayor-elect Satya Rhodes-Conway transition into the role, he's dealing with an ethics complaint.
We'll have more on that, plus the recount starts tomorrow in McFarland, where just one vote separates the two candidates for village president. The day's top stories are next on News 3 Now this morning.
Before Mayor Soglin makes the transition out of office, he's dealing with an ethics complaint from an employee who claims she was fired after a, quote, deceptive investigation.
And state lawmakers will consider a proposal today that would make it harder for drivers to get out of jail when they're arrested for OWI.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 Now this morning. On this Thursday, April 4th, we are expecting a little bit of a gloomy day out there.
We are. It is not a bad day to maybe stay inside, take a nap. That's where you'll catch us.
Yep.
Hattie McLean, though, she's out on the porch, at least to start her day. How's it feeling out there, Hads?
Well, it's actually a little warmer than it was yesterday, but it's not terribly warm outside. You'll definitely want your jacket today and maybe the umbrella because you'll likely dodge a few raindrops as you go about your day today. A live look from the WISC-TV Skycam. It's definitely cloudy here in southern Wisconsin. We have just a sliver of daylight on the horizon, but otherwise we're looking at mostly cloudy skies today. On the radar map, we've had some light rain showing up, especially south and west of Madison. Now, not all of that rain was actually hitting the ground this morning, but on and off showers or even a few flurries possible this morning. But that shower chance continues even into the afternoon and evening. Now, our current temperatures are right around 40 in most locations. The Dells are at 37. It is down to 30 in Camp Douglas, but elsewhere temperatures are well above the freezing point this morning. But we're not going to move too far today. We'll top only in the mid-40s this afternoon. Combine that with an east wind and that chance for rain, it's likely going to feel quite a bit cooler today. Here's a look at your traffic maps this morning. We're starting to see some slowdowns inbound on Verona Road as well as Park Street. Also a few brake lights showing up in the Beltline right around Stoughton Road. Here's a look at your drive times. A little bit slower in some spots, but you're not adding too many extra minutes to your commute just yet. I would expect volume to increase, though, after 7 o'clock this morning.
Always tends to happen, and I'm sure any rain possibilities won't make that much better, Hads.
Yeah, it might slow it down a little bit more.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
More local news now. New numbers say this week's election was the second highest voter turnout the state has seen in a nonpartisan election since 2000. 26.6% of Wisconsin adults cast their ballots in this April election. That's according to the Wisconsin Elections Commission. In the state's Supreme Court race, still not called yet this morning, more than 1.2 million votes were counted. Judge Brian Hagedorn is currently leading Judge Lisa Neubauer by just under 6,000 votes. Historically, turnout in contested spring elections for a Supreme Court seat ranges from a high of 34.3% back in 2011 to a low of 18.2% in 2009.
So we are waiting for the results of a recount in McFarland, and a very tight race for village president is showing us that every vote truly does count. Just one vote separates candidates Brad Saboter and Carolyn Clow. Clow has requested this recount, which is scheduled for tomorrow. It isn't the first time someone has edged out their opponent by such a thin margin in McFarland.
You know, it kind of really, when it settles in, it makes you see that every vote does count. Every single person who came out yesterday, their vote counted, and it showed in the results. And I think that's an awesome reminder for all of us.
McFarland actually had more than 44% of the registered voters there turn out on Tuesday, which is higher than the state average.
As Mayor Paul Soglin packs up his office today, he'll also be spending some time responding to an ethics complaint against him. The Madison Ethics Board will hear about that complaint tonight. The Cap Times reports that it alleges the mayor's office started a, quote, deceptive and inappropriate investigation into a city employee, Laura Doherty, because she disagreed with assessment practices for commercial properties. The city says Doherty was disciplined and eventually fired for unprofessional and incompetent workplace conduct. If the board determines the complaint is a violation of the Code of Ethics and that there's evidence to support that, the case will move to a full hearing. Lawmakers at the state capitol are talking about a new bill today that would make it tougher for drunk drivers to reoffend in a 24-hour period. The change could help prevent tragedies like the one we told you about in a News 3 Now Investigate story last year. Jennifer Kilburn of Kenosha has been lobbying for change ever since she was injured by a drunk driver who had been arrested, then released earlier that same night. The proposed legislation would change the penalty and prevent suspects from being released to a third party if they're still intoxicated.
Another bill on the table today would increase the mandatory prison time for 5th and 6th OWI offenses. Under current law, someone who commits one of those crimes is guilty of a felony and could be fined up to $25,000, imprisoned for up to 10 years, or both. This bill would increase the minimum time behind bars from 6 months to 18 months. 6:34 right now. 'Tis the season for spring cleaning, and we all have things that we no longer need, and of course we want them to be put to good use.
But it's hard to know what to donate and where to give it to. Christina Laurie is joining us this morning to explain how to maximize your donation. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, ladies. So I want you to remember 3 things when you're cleaning out later this weekend. Keep, donate, or trash? Those are the questions we should all be asking ourselves as we rearrange our closets, drawers, and homes this time of year, but it's important not to assume charities will accept everything we're getting rid of. Wisconsin's Better Business Bureau warns do-gooders to be careful where and what you donate. You may have seen those drop-off collection bins around town. Well, not all of them are connected to charities. Be careful of names you don't know or are very similar to ones you do, and take the time to check out the charity's name on give.org or on the Better Business Bureau's website, bbb.org. Also, make sure the charity you choose will use what you're donating. Call ahead of time if you're unsure.
Definitely check out the charity first. So just because you donate it doesn't mean that it's going to somebody in need. Sometimes it goes to a thrift store, which is for revenue for the charity.
Other times it can go to a third party altogether and be sold to be converted into rag bond, which is a heavyweight kind of paper. Another mistake people make when donating is not getting a receipt or assuming that the charity will assign values to what you donate. That's actually your job, and it's especially important this time of year when you're filing your taxes. If you donate more than $500 in a calendar year, it's important to mark that down on your tax return and file it with the IRS. Reminder, taxes are due in less than 2 weeks now.
I think everyone's, just to put it out there. But yeah, it's a good reminder all around. Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome.
6:35 your time now. The FDA is investigating reports that e-cigarettes might be causing seizures. That story's ahead in the morning sprint.
Plus, Giannis Antetokounmpo's looking out for his teammates on the court, and on the cover of the Sports Illustrated out today, we'll tell you how he made sure his buddy got a cameo on national newsstands when News 3 Now this morning returns.
Welcome back. We're learning more about the backstory of how the Bucks helped unleash the full power of the Greek Freak.
Giannis Antetokounmpo will grace the cover of the latest Sports Illustrated issue that's out today. The cover story outlines the beginning stages of his relationship with head coach Mike Budenholzer, who came to Milwaukee last year in part because of Giannis's talent. Now, the article explains how Giannis relies on a notebook in his process that allows him to go back and look at conversations he's had with coaches. And maybe we should all start taking notes because, you know, Giannis is a top contender for MVP this season. His teammate Chris Middleton also made the cover, making quite the impression in the background.
He walked in and he said, thank you for putting me the Sports Illustrated cover. I was like, what are you talking about? And then he said, you're on the cover. And I was like, okay, good to know. I didn't know that. I just, woke up, got my stuff, came to practice. And he was happy that he was in the background. And I was like, yeah, I got you, bro. Like, that's what.
You planned that.
Yeah, I definitely planned that.
Love that guy. The Bucks play the 76ers tonight in Philadelphia.
So you planning to get this framed?
No, I don't think so.
No, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Christmas gift.
You know what? There are a lot of Sports Illustrateds at home right now. I think this one will not collect dust. It'll actually get a read.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, 6:40 your time now. Clouds, wind, rain aren't quite the forecast we're hoping for today, but this weekend we can look forward to temperatures in the 60s, getting pretty close to 70. Hattie's First Alert forecast is coming up.
First, though, it is April 4th, and we want to say happy birthday to Burke and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thanks for helping us celebrate with you here on News 3 Now this morning. Welcome back. You are taking a live look right now on Madison's west side. You can see all the clouds there with just a little bit of sun trying to poke through. It's kind of going to be the story of the day. Hattie's forecast with some rain coming up in just a few moments here. But first, a new study finds a poor diet is responsible for more deaths worldwide than any other cause. Researchers looked at diets around the world over a 27-year period and found that bad eating habits killed more people than tobacco, smoking, or high blood pressure. The study's author says it's not just choosing unhealthy options like sugary drinks and red meat. People are consuming high levels of salt and are not eating healthy foods like whole grains, fruit, nuts, and seeds.
Guess I won't be ordering that gas station breakfast sandwich. New research shows you might be applying sunscreen to yourself and your kids all wrong. Scientists at the University of Liverpool studied how people are applying sunscreen to their faces and found people weren't applying it to their eyelids. I don't. On average, people missed 11% of their face when applying sunscreen. The study's author says the research is important because the face, and specifically the eyelid region, has a high risk of skin cancers. Interesting.
That's really interesting. I'll be sure to do that next time. My goodness.
Rethinking how I'm applying sunscreen. Won't be having to do that today, though, Hattie.
No, have you ever gotten sunscreen in your eye?
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, that is the worst.
The worst. I'll just wear sunglasses.
There you go.
I don't think you need to worry about sunscreen today, though. Take a look outside behind me, the Capitol, but clouds in place across southern Wisconsin. We don't have a lot of sunshine in the forecast today, a little bit coming for tomorrow. As we head towards the weekend, let's talk about warmer temperatures, dry day on Saturday, and some showers and thunderstorms coming on Sunday. So we'll focus in on those weekend forecasts. Here's a look at GFS Future Track forecast model starting at 8:30 in the morning on Saturday. Dry across southern Wisconsin, but you'll note some moisture trying to work its way into the northern part of the state. If you do have plans that take you into northern Wisconsin, it is likely going to be a bit of a wet day on Saturday. Staying dry here, though, in southern Wisconsin with temperatures climbing well into the 60s. Now, on Sunday, we pick up on some of that rain here in the southern part of the state. Fair game all across Wisconsin for showers and even some isolated thunderstorms on Sunday. The rain should come to an end on Monday. As far as precipitation totals, well, highest amounts will likely be just north of our area where they're getting rain both days. But here in southern Wisconsin, we could see maybe 1/3 of an inch to about 3/4 of an inch in some spots. So a decent amount of moisture on the way for the weekend. Speaking of moisture, some of that showing up on the radar map just a little bit here and there across southern Minnesota and southern Wisconsin this morning. It's a fairly narrow and broken band of rain showers at this point, maybe even a few flurries as you get closer to the Dells where temperatures are a little bit cooler. Temps are definitely cooler, though, as you head into central Wisconsin. It's 30 right now in Camp Douglas, 37, though, in the Dells, 40 from Madison, and points to the south all the way to the state line. Winds are easterly and they will be increasing today. That east wind anywhere from 15 to 25 miles an hour this afternoon. And coming off of Lake Michigan, you know, this time of the year, that's not going to be a warm wind for us. So it'll feel quite chilly today, especially compared to yesterday. Let's take a look at that Future Track forecast model. If you're wondering about your rain chances today, pretty limited this morning. Most areas just cloudy skies. As we head towards the afternoon, we'll see some of those showers redevelop across the area and lift northward. Temperatures will stay in the mid-40s today. Chance for the entire area to get at least a little bit of rain. Amounts, though, are generally going to be pretty light. Take a look at the numbers. Very light, less than 1/4, even less than 1/10 of an inch in most spots. Here's a look at your extended forecast. After a chilly day today, we're back up to 60 for tomorrow and dry on Saturday with a high of 67. That'll be the best day of the weekend because it will be wet on Sunday. Temperatures drop back into the 50s next week, maybe even cooling down a little bit more towards the end of next week.
Oh,
oofda. BB in Edgerton. Taking a little break. Not a bad day to take a break.
I'm taking my cues from BB today.
Find your favorite blanket.
This is what I look like every morning, folks. If I had big ears, that's
I know, I love those ears.
Are you serious?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 Now this morning. Almost 6:52, time for the morning sprint. Hattie says it will be a chillier day out there with rain chances.
And Christina Laurie has a warning about where to donate our spring cleaning items. But we start with developing news about a boy who went missing from Wisconsin Dells nearly 8 years ago, who might have escaped his captors.
We've always felt strongly that this day would come. We're still waiting to see that if it is actually Timothy.
We expect to learn more later today about whether a DNA test proves Timothy Pitson is alive and well. He was last seen on videotape at age 6 with his mother at the Kalahari Resort. 2 days later, Pitson's mother was found dead in a Rockford hotel of an apparent suicide. Now, police say a 14-year-old wandering around a suburb just south of Cincinnati across the Kentucky state line claims to be the missing boy, telling officers he escaped 2 kidnappers.
Police in Las Vegas are investigating how a Wisconsin man died in their custody. Officers say 36-year-old Nicholas Farah was combative when they arrested him for allegedly trespassing at a hotel. Now, police put Farah in a restraint chair when he got to the jail, but he went unconscious when officers moved his head to replace his handcuffs. He died shortly after at the hospital. The coroner there is working to determine the cause of death for Farah.
And our forecast today does include a chance for a few showers. We're seeing a little bit of that rain showing up on the radar map this morning. Even a few flurries possible early today with temperatures close to the freezing point north of the Dells. Now, our temperatures today are not going to move much, nearly steady in the low to mid 40s this afternoon. A strong easterly wind and that chance for rain will make it feel quite chilly today.
The Better Business Bureau is warning do-gooders this morning to be careful where and what you donate as you start spring cleaning. You may have noticed drop-off collection bins around town. Well, not all of them are connected to charities. Take the time to check out the charity's name on give.org or bbb.org. Also, make sure the charity you choose will use what you're donating. Call ahead of time if you're unsure, and don't forget to pick up a receipt. It's up to you to assign value to what you've given so you can file it with your taxes.
Thank you, Christina. A preliminary report finds the Ethiopian Airlines crew followed all expected procedures, but still weren't able to gain control of the plane that crashed last month, killing all 157 people on board. Investigators also found the Boeing 737 MAX 8 had a valid certificate of airworthiness, and the flight's takeoff appeared normal.
The IRS has less than a week to comply with a request for the president's tax returns. House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal has formally requested Mr. Trump's returns dating from 2013 to 2018, as well as documents from some of his business entities. Now, this comes as the House Judiciary Committee voted to authorize subpoenas for the full release of Robert Mueller's report. The New York Times is reporting this morning investigators with the special counsel's team say that report is worse for the president than Attorney General William Barr's summary suggests it is.
Lawmakers at the state capitol are talking about a new bill today that would make it tougher for drunk drivers to reoffend in a 24-hour period. The proposed legislation would change the penalty and prevent suspects from being released to a third party if they're still intoxicated. Another bill on the table today would increase the mandatory prison time for 5th and 6th OWI offenses. That bill would increase that minimum time behind bars from 6 months to 18 months.
The FDA is investigating reports this morning of people suffering seizures after using e-cigarettes. The agency's identified at least 35 seizure cases since 2010, all after someone was vaping. Most of the seizures did involve young people. Seizures are a possible side effect of nicotine poisoning, but the FDA has not determined a definitive link between seizures and vaping.
County clerks will soon be starting the official canvass to confirm the results of a state Supreme Court race that still hasn't been called yet. Judge Brian Hagedorn declared victory overnight Tuesday, but 24 hours later, Judge Lisa Neubauer has not conceded or indicated if she will. In a Facebook post posted yesterday, Neubauer called for more volunteers and donations to help make sure the election results are accurate.
Been impressed by the pre-campaign agenda of the new mayor-elect, and I think that she is ambitious, she's driven.
Madison Police Chief Mike Koval hopes the new mayor will hear him out when it comes to getting more money for more officers in the city. Mayor-elect Satya Rhodes Conway has expressed more interest in increasing funding for mental health and addiction services to reduce crime. She will officially take over for longtime Mayor Paul Soglin in 2 weeks.
Meanwhile, the Madison Ethics Board will hear a complaint against Mayor Soglin at a meeting tonight. The Cap Times reports that complaint alleges the mayor's office began a, quote, deceptive and inappropriate investigation into a city employee, Laura Doherty, because she disagreed with assessment practices for commercial properties. The city says Doherty was disciplined and eventually fired for unprofessional and incompetent workplace conduct.
6:57, almost your time. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Hey, Josh.
Hey, the westbound Beltline is starting to get busier now between Stoughton Road and West Broadway, but so far no delays quite yet. Inbound side of John Nolan, you're tapping the brakes at Olin Avenue moving into downtown. Give yourself extra time on East Johnson Street approaching the 1st Street intersection. Something is slowing everything down in that area. And other main routes coming into the city still moving at the usual speeds with no issues. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And it's a cloudy start to this Thursday morning. We haven't seen any raindrops yet here in Madison, but it's a possibility today. On and off rain showers as we head towards the afternoon with strong easterly winds and highs only in the mid-40s. So definitely cooler than it was yesterday.
Hang in there until the weekend, just a couple of days away, folks.
I know, it's in the low 60s tomorrow.
Yes. All right, grab the umbrella. Thanks for joining us this morning for News 3 Now This Morning. We'll see you back here tomorrow.